Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queens.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
We're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hey, Pretty Wings, Desmond. All right, Buckhorse DC. Buckhorse DC says we are oppressed. Okay, we the people. Let's get into it. Emperor Rex. All right, Sheila. 57 Beige, Fox, Queen Amoni, Huey, Leon is here. All right, Greta Lee. I see you, beloved. Adwa L. All right, Just Joy. Mr. Elevation, I think I already said you. Okay, so Jerron is here. All right, Claudette. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone who is tuned in to the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I see you, Lady Painter and Pretty Wings. Okay, so before we get started, hey, Mad Dog Jax and Dangerous. Before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Hey, Danielle, beloved. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget, you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. And also don't forget about the sale that started yesterday that goes until the 7th. Okay, now with that all being said, let's get into this because I'm hearing that there is some racial tension, someone possibly race baiting. Okay, so we're going to get into it. First, I want to go to Twitter. There's a CBS journalist by the name of J.D. Miles who has been reporting on this. Okay, I was looking at some of the stuff he posted this morning about the opening arguments. So, hold on. And there is surveillance footage. We're going to hear what they have to say about that as well. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, let's go to his Twitter. I'm trying to see where to start on this. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to his Twitter. We're going to get what we can from there. And then we're going to go to Nick at Night's video because she did a report. And then also, I want to go over the police report. It's 7 pages, but I have the police report, the initial report. So I want to get into that also. Okay, so let me see. That was from the 3rd. Okay, so this is from about 8 hours ago, so that would be today. Okay, he said the jury has entered the courtroom for the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. If the 18 jurors and alternates, uh, if the 18 jurors and alternates, there are 10 women and 8 men. I think he meant in, not if. Okay, so there's 10 women and 8 men. It's a mix of ethnicities, white, Middle Eastern, and Southeast Asian. No black jurors, as we reported yesterday to the objection of the defense. Do y'all hear that? There's no black jurors. They have white, Middle Eastern, and Southeast Asian. Okay? Now, I did see something about this yesterday where they said something about they had a term for it where they basically said the race something was denied. Okay, so anyway, the prosecution argued that the 3 black prospective jurors work as educators and they were dismissed for that reason because their jobs were too connected to the circumstances of the crime. So they got dismissed because they were teachers or someone who worked in the education field. Opening statements are scheduled for 9. Okay, so that was from yesterday. The judge has overruled the defense objections to the exclusion of blacks on the Karmelo Anthony jury. 12 jurors and 6 alternates have been selected. That's when they were saying they didn't know the makeup. So now we know the makeup. White, Middle Eastern, and Asians. That's very interesting. Southeast Asians. Now, they also say prosecution opening statements in Karmelo Anthony murder trial from Bill Werski, Collin County First Assistant District Attorney, who says the defendant brought a knife into the stadium that was prohibited and plunged into the chest, buried it into the heart of another young man, causing his death, and then he ran away. This case has nothing to do with race. This case has nothing to do with self-defense. The facts of this case are simple. They are as simple as this killing was senseless. This video tells the story. That video shows the murder. Then you're going to hear from numerous eyewitnesses who were there. This was provoked, unjustified murder. It is senseless. Now, also, they basically say that the prosecution is portraying this as if Deronda said not even an African. No, beloved, no Africans. Okay, so they basically have said that the prosecution is portraying this as Karmelo instigated this, saying that Karmelo provoked Austin. Now, I'm sorry. They're saying that because he didn't just leave when he was asked to, that he provoked Austin to put hands on him. Okay, I want y'all to let that marinate for a second while I continue. Now, with that all being said, I find it all interesting. Anyway, so we're gonna move on. I don't see what else he has on here. Hold on, let me scroll down some. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, so do we know how many days the trial is expected to last? JD Miles says through next week. These are people asking him questions in the comments. Will you be given live updates? He says yes. So what we'll do is we'll tune in to him tomorrow morning to see what he's saying. Okay, just like Inner City News when I was covering the Diddy trial before I actually went to New York. Okay, there is video of the entire confrontation. JD Miles says yes. Okay, so death penalty. A young life was taken for no effing reason. He does not deserve to live, even if in prison. I'm sure that's a racist saying that. Someone else says, so in the middle of an open field, this athletic football player couldn't have run away from the alleged bully that was already wanting him to leave before he stabbed him out of self-defense. How dumb can these Karmelo supporters be? Well, just as dumb as the racist supremacists who think it was perfectly fine that Carl Rittenhouse murdered 2 people at a protest while he carried an AR-15 that he carried across state lines. But let me continue. Just as dumb as the jurors who found Rick Chow innocent. Okay? Please make it all make sense. These racists are something else. Okay, somebody says, I thought there wasn't any footage from that day, just the security cam across the field. I knew you were full of ish. There is absolutely cell phone footage of the attack, and I know why we haven't seen it. Okay, someone else says, kill Mello. That's what they're calling him instead of Karmelo. Kill Mello, provoke the altercation. You don't go up to a person and threaten them if you're a scared tarantula, head. Okay, someone says this case has everything to do with race. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, as you can see, there is a whole lot of racial tension behind this, mainly from the wanton supremacists. The black people are simply asking for justice, but the white folk, well, they want to start something. It's very obvious and apparent. You can see it from the comments they post online. And then also, as I said, it has been reported, even Nick at Nights, they're trying to intimidate black people that are down there. Okay, so which further makes me want to go down there. Okay, that makes me want to absolutely go down there. Now I'm going to pull up her video. I'm going to have to use an overlay. And then we're going to hear what she has to say. And then I'll see if Queen Sheba has posted anything as of yet. Like, so everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Shout out to Nick and Nike for being their boots on the ground.
I am here covering the Karmelo Anthony trial, and I was inside the courtroom when we just watched the surveillance footage of the incident take place. I was able to see Karmelo Anthony enter into the stadium. It showed the victim and his brother enter into the stadium. It showed the tent that they were under and so much more. They also did opening statements before we started to see any type of footage or anything like that. Opening statements was 20 minutes for each side. The defense took 20 minutes. The prosecution took 20 minutes. And when they gave their opening statements, there was a stark contrast on both sides. So first and foremost, the defense went up and the prosecution went up first, and his co-counsel did the opening statements where he painted Karmelo Anthony as a senseless murderer. You know, he said that Karmelo Anthony provoked the victim into putting his hands on him. So he's saying that, you know, the victim in a case, he provoked him because he didn't leave when they told him to. So basically, they told him to leave and he didn't leave, and he told him that they better not touch him or whatever, or watch what happens if you touch me. That's provoking them to put their hands on him. So then once they put the hands on him, then he, you know, used his weapon. He grabbed in his bag, used his weapon, and the whole incident happened in a matter of 4 minutes. So the victim and his brother entered into the tent 2 minutes prior to Karmelo Anthony entering in the tent. The defense said that he didn't enter the tent because he wasn't supposed to be there, as far as like the way that they're trying to shape it, but he entered into the tent because he recognized one of his friends. He went to say hello to one of his friends and he went to go sit down. As soon as he went to go sit down, it is being alleged that the twins came up to him and told him, you got to go, you got to get up out of here. And he told them, no, he's not leaving. He's not getting up out of there at all. Now, that's what's happening on the inside of the courtroom. You guys know I took a lot of notes. I'm going to be giving you guys a very detailed breakdown. I tried to jot down as much as I can as far as what the prosecution and defense are saying and alleging. We're going to give the facts. Now, outside, there is protest on both sides happening right now. There are people here that are supporting Karmelo Anthony, and then there are people who don't appear to be a part of Austin's family, but rather serving a white supremacist agenda and trying to basically put fear in Black people. So you see them kind of like trying to Black, like, you know, looking all of us up and down, mad dogging us, trying to make their presence known. One guy's walking around with a Confederate flag, and it's like intimidation tactics that's trying to happen. I'm gonna pan the camera so you guys can kind of see.
Have you seen the average auto insurance rate in Georgia?
On. So I don't have much time before it's time to go back in, but I just kind of want y'all to see the atmosphere that's going on outside and all the people. You said I'm breaking up? So he's been walking around with his flag all around. Right, and then this guy right here, he was with the girl Sarah that was like trying to talk a lot of mess. So there's one female that's trying to like rage bait and make this a racial thing. That guy right there is with her. He was mad dogging me too, trying to look me up and down. But I'm gonna get back over to the court side. Here is the officers across the street. All of the sheriffs have been nice, actually. Like, they have been completely nice. This is what it looks like across the street. And then this is what it looks like on this side over here. I think this is no type of fight. And then there's news media all around. So you said watch my back. Obvious, clearly. Yeah, these people right here, child. They all got on body cam footage. Yeah, I'm being careful. So I'm walking back down away from the crowd. But yeah, that's the atmosphere that's going on down here. There's a lot of news media like across. So as you can see, this is the news media right here. And it's pretty quiet towards the steps. Most of the protest and stuff is going on at the end. I don't know if y'all can see my fit, but fit check. I'm gonna have to have somebody hold it so y'all can see. Y'all can see. But they showed the surveillance. Oh, so what I wanted to say about the surveillance, and again, we're gonna go into this a lot more in depth later, because they already have the first witness on the stand. They already, you know, they're admitting evidence and everything like that. The tents, like when people were describing the tents, I'm thinking like a sheltered, enclosed tent. They were not under like a tent. They were under a canopy. So if you guys know, like whenever, like say you go to a barbecue or you put up a canopy is open. So basically what was happening was there was a lot of rain. You saw in the video, you saw people in ponchos. You saw people with umbrellas. You saw kids that were like to the right of the tent. There was another tent to the left, and these tents are canopies. So a lot of people, like the prosecution basically said, like, oh, you know, their tents are, you know, where they keep their belongings so that people don't steal. There's literally no way for a person to steal because the tent was full of people. There was kids all around. There was kids to the left, to the right, walking around. Like, who gonna steal when all of these eyes it wasn't that type of setup at all. And they were only under the tent for 4 minutes total from introduction to seeing each other to the knife wound. Now, what the defense wanted to basically point out is this isn't something where he stabbed them multiple times. He didn't go and stab other people. He didn't try to you know, do that. He defended himself and then he ran. So when he ran like out of the bleachers, and then you see him in the surveillance. He's like jumping down, running down the bleachers. And then as he runs down the bleachers, he runs to go run out. So when he runs out, like trying to run out of the field, there was kids that were chasing him from behind, and he ended up going up to one of the coaches. Now, as he's running out, there was a group of, it looked like black kids that were coming in for the track meet. They all had on like what looked like uniforms. Karmelo Anthony, he had on a light gray hoodie and some blue sweats. So he walks out of the bleachers. And then when he walks out of the bleachers, he's looking around. He goes back, like, you know, I don't know if he was, you know, waiting on somebody. And then once he reemerges again, he goes past one tent. Now, one tent / canopy. He walks past, and you can see it's packed, jam-packed with kids. They tried to make it seem like, oh, he didn't go to the first tent. He passed up a whole tent and went to the other one. The tent, when you look at it, or the canopy, it's full. Like, it's a bunch of kids huddled under trying not to get wet. He goes to the other tent that is more open. Like, it's like less people congregated, but it's a lot of them underneath that tent. And you see kids, like I said, on the outside, you see kids walking out with their ponchos. You see them walking past with their umbrellas. You see them with their hoodies on. And it's raining. You can see the rain coming down from the camera. So the videos that we're watching is surveillance from the school. And you can see the rain coming down from the surveillance as it's all happening. So they got a forensic analysis to come in. And basically what his job is to do is to look at the video, identify the suspect, which would be Karmelo Anthony, and the victim, which would be the brothers. And so he was supposed to like walk through, okay, when did Austin and his brother walk through? When did Karmelo walk through? And based on the video, they wanted to know, like, what was the resolution of the video? The video was a 4K video. It was a high resolution video. But what they explained to the jurors is that you can only get 4K video to come through a 4K TV. So the TVs in the courtroom are not 4K, but they said that they're going to bring a specialized 4K video, TV, so that they can watch the video in 4K, and so that they can see it better. So and another thing that the defense wanted to note was every single team had a tent except for Karmelo Anthony's school. So it was several schools there for the track meet, and all of the other schools had their canopy tents. The only school that did not have a tent was Karmelo Anthony's school. So even if so it's not like his school had their tent and he went to the other people's tent. They didn't have a tent at all. He said the only thing that they had was a tarp. Okay. And so so he said, like, for whatever reason, he doesn't know why they didn't have a tent, but their school did not have a tent. Centennial High School did not have a tent. And so when he's walking around, he was waiting around, and he was there as a like, I think he's in varsity, and the track meet was for junior varsity, but he went to help out with the school. And so the defense also wanted to note that all of the individuals that are going to testify are kids that went to that school. And he wanted to point out that all of them are friends of the victim. He said, once you're listening to testimony, you have to bear in mind that these are all friends and they are all going to the same school. The only person under the tent that did not go to that school was Karmelo Anthony. And he says the only reason why he went there is because he went to talk to a guy who he thought was his friend. Okay, that was the key words that his defense said. They said he went to talk to a guy who he thought was his friend. So it's going to be interesting to hear from all of these witnesses. They're all going to be teenagers who are going to be testifying. They have, like I said, the video video analyst who does video analyst for prosecution, district attorneys, that type of thing. He was able to enhance the video so that they can see an enhanced version. So right now, what we've watched so far was the raw footage. And once we go back in, they're going to show the enhanced footage. So in the enhanced footage that they plan to show, they have like a spotlight and they like follow him with a spotlight and stuff like that. So we're going to see like a more enhanced version coming up. But I'm going to keep you guys updated on what's going on. And I'm going to take as much notes as possible. And I'm going to stay on this thing, okay? We are going to be safe. My unc is making sure that I'm safe. I got other family that's in the cut, making sure that I am safe, okay? They made sure to not be seen talking to me or whatever, like staying in the cut, making sure I'm safe. My mom did not play no game. She put in a call because I don't know if y'all know, but half of my family is from Texas. My grandfather and everything is from Texas. My mom's dad's side of the family. My mom put in a call, made sure that her baby was safe because, I told her what was going on, like with the climate around it. So trust and believe, I'm safe. Also, this is a state where you can if you got that file, you could bring that file with you. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, other than that, it is very hot outside. Okay, it's hot outside, but this is the courthouse. All right, this is the courthouse. This is what's going on. And I'm gonna keep you guys updated. I wish there was somebody here that could show y'all my outfit, but it is what it is. My unc ran inside real quick, so anyways. And once you go inside, there's no phones, no nothing, so you can't even communicate like that. So let me go. Let me go back inside, and I'm gonna talk to y'all later.
Okay, Neek really wanted to show us her outfit. She looked pretty. Okay, so with that, shout out to Neek, like I said, and Queen Sheba for going down there, boots on the ground. So I find it all very interesting. There's supposedly, from what I have been told, there's like 30 witnesses. There's like 30 witnesses. Now you can be assured that 9 times out of 10, like she said, these people are friends with Austin and his brother, or were friends with Austin and his brother, and they live in Frisco. So think about this. All of the people that were in the area were white except for Karmelo. So they're going to be on code. But not only that, at the end of the day, do you think any of them want to be the odd man out? I mean, they have to live there. Do you think that any of them are going to speak in favor of Karmelo and act as though it was really self-defense, which it was, in my opinion? But at the end of the day, I mean, we'll find out everything once the trial, continues as it proceeds. But the bottom line is some of these people, even if they feel differently about the narrative being put out there, they're likely not going to say anything because they have to live in that town. Okay. And they don't want any problems, I'm sure. And she said the sheriffs are all being nice, the sheriff's deputies and all of that. I'm sure they are. They're likely on their best behavior because they know there's media coverage. People down there, from Legacy Media and all of that. Okay, so anyway, let's get into this police report, which, as I said, is 7 pages long. Let's go through this and do a breakdown. But I do wish that in the beginning, when this whole thing happened, Karmelo had not said anything about remember when they reported that he said it's not alleged, I did it. Remember that? I'm pretty sure that the prosecution is going to use that some sort of nefarious way, basically to try to say possibly that he was maybe say that he was bragging or that he was proud of what he had done. I mean, who knows? But it's not going to be good. Okay, I'll say that much. Okay, so that all being said, let's get ready to get into it. Hold on, I'm sending something to my email. Okay, likes up, everyone. Please like and share. I'm about to share the screen. Okay. Now let's get ready to get into it. Hope you all can see this fairly well. Okay, so now this is the official report from April the 2nd of 2025. Now I want you to pay attention to Karmelo's weight and his height because, I saw also on the journalist page that we just looked at that some racists were saying, oh, he's 6'1". Well, no, he isn't 6'1" because the journalist had told them that Karmelo was 5'9", that he was very small and very slim. And as you can see here, that's exactly what he is. He's 5'9", and he weighed 130 pounds. Okay, 5'9", weighed 130 pounds against twins who were 6'1" and weighed between 215 to 230 pounds. Okay, according to reports. Okay, it has murder on here, and here's what it says. On April the 2nd of 2025 at 10:01 hours, I, Staley School Resource Officer E. Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call about a stabbing call at David Kuykendall Stadium. Okay, and this is in Frisco, Texas, of course, Collin County, Texas. Okay, FPD call notes indicated that an athlete was stabbed. Now, the suspect was reported as being a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. I immediately left my office and ran across the Stanley Middle School parking lot towards a southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, 2 high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent. I did not identify these students. Now, I want you to pay attention because why did he not identify these students? Maybe he was in a rush, but he should have at least gotten their names, in my opinion. Now, next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, visitor side on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. And let me just show you all, in case you've never been to a track meet, what the tents look like. This is how it looks when you're at a track meet and it's raining. They put out the tents. That's exactly how they look. And this is the scene of basically how it would have been when Karmelo was there. Okay, this is why Neek was saying that it was like a canopy. Okay, because it's just like a little shelter, nothing closed up about it. And they were on the bleachers, according to reports. Now, with that all being said, goes on to say, next I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, visitor side, on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness. Now, the individual that was pointed out to me was a black male wearing a gray hooded sweater and dark colored Nike pants. Okay, so the suspect at this point was on the track on the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me from the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, I was protecting myself. It should be noted that I did not question him, or I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any on his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. Okay, so now while walking him off the track, the suspect also said he put his hands on me. I then detained the suspect in handcuffs, handcuffed behind his back, and had him sit down on the ground after Officer A. Ritchie had arrived on the scene at that time. Now, I conducted another pat down of his person and then searched his person after he gave me consent, and no weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responds and says, I'm not alleged, I did it. Now, see, I really wish he hadn't said that, as I told you, but here's what I want you all to pay attention to. Even though he said, I'm not alleged, I did it, basically, his attorneys, and I'm sure they'll do this if it's brought up, and it will be. I'm absolutely sure it'll be brought up. But what his attorneys can say is that him yelling out or just saying out loud, I'm not alleged, I did it, they could say that's an excited utterance. Okay, they can say that's an excited utterance. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's basically defined as a statement that concerns a startling event, okay, made by the declarant when the declarant is under stress. Okay, from a startling event, and this would be considered as a startling event. Okay, an excited utterance is an exception to the hearsay rule. So in order for a statement to meet the exception, the moving party must show that the statement was made while still under stress. Okay, and it does not breach the Sixth Amendment rights. Now, here's the thing. If you give an excited utterance, it doesn't mean that you could say something hours after an incident happened, and then, or if you say something hours later when you've had time to calm down or whatever, then your defense team can't say, oh, it was an excited utterance, because by now hours have passed. Okay, but if it's right in the midst of right immediately after, okay, then you could, unless it's a child. Now, if it's a child, they could still be traumatized. You know what I'm saying? So basically, only statements made while startled will be considered as an excited utterance. Now, factors show as how long since the startling event, physical appearances of stress, and an unsettled voice may help determine that a person is still under stress from the event. A major consideration is how soon after the startling event the statement was made. Typically, statements made soon after the event will more easily be shown as an excited utterance. But the longer a person has to contemplate things, to think about it, the less likely the person will be reacting out of a startled state. And also, I think it's important to note that one of the main ways they can tell if the person was under stress or startled or, upset or whatever is their demeanor. Did they have a cracked voice when they were speaking, like a shaky voice? Did they seem nervous? Were they crying? Now, that's going to be important because Karmelo, the officer, said that he was crying crying profusely, I believe is what he said. Okay, but he was definitely crying uncontrollably or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly how it was said, but that's what they said. I remember in the first reports. Okay, so let's continue. So, where was I? Okay, he said, I'm not alleged, I did it. Okay, so next, Officer Ritchie and I walked the suspect to Patrol Vehicle 2412. Okay, this is Officer A. Ritchie's patrol vehicle. So which was on the northeast gate of Curry Kendall Stadium. Now, as we were walking to the squad car, the suspect was emotional and said he put his hands on me. I told him not to. I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. I searched his person once again and had him sit in the back seat, the driver's side of the patrol vehicle 2412. While the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw blood out loud so that it would be captured on my body-worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me, is he going to be okay, while he was in the back seat. Okay, I then identified the suspect. He provided his name and date of birth verbally as Karmelo Anthony, a black male with a birth date of, and they have that redacted, which I ran through FPD dispatch. Officer Jay Hancock arrived on scene and remained with me and the suspect at this point. Now, Karmelo was then checked via eSchool database for FISD students to also confirm his identity. The identified information he provided matched the individual I had in custody, Karmelo Anthony. Next, I was advised by Sergeant Holland to transport the subject to the Frisco PD jail. Officer Hancock and I transported him to the FPD jail. Again, I did not question Karmelo about the incident. So upon arriving at the Frisco jail, Karmelo was escorted in the intake area. FPD jail staff changed him out into jail attire. I remained with the jail staff the entire time that he was changed over. Now, the clothes that Karmelo was wearing was placed in an FPD paper evidence bag. Now, the clothes remained in my possession from this point on. Upon Karmelo being placed into a jail cell, I continued to keep possession of his clothes. I returned to my patrol 2412 along with Officer Hancock, which was in the FPD Sally port, and placed Karmelo's clothes in the back trunk area. I drove patrol vehicle 2412 out of the Sally port and parked the squad car in the FPD patrol parking area. Karmelo's clothes remained in the trunk area of the vehicle 2412. FPD crime scene technician Kay Dillard, who took possession of Karmelo's clothes, or then took possession of Karmelo's clothes. I added my body-worn camera to the case. I have no further information to report. Now, this is supplemental from Officer Allison Ritchie. Okay, so on April the 2nd, 2025, okay, he says he was wearing a full Frisco police uniform and I was operating a fully marked Frisco police vehicle 2412. At about that time, I was dispatched to the report of a stabbing at David Q. Kendall Stadium. Okay, Frisco Police Dispatch advised an athlete had been stabbed. The suspect was described as a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. I responded code 3 from the area of El Dorado Parkway and Frisco Street. I arrived on scene at approximately 10:05 hours. Now, when I arrived on scene, I approached the track field area and saw Officer Cortez kneeling next to a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. The male, later identified as Karmelo Anthony, a black male, was in handcuffs and was seated on the sidewalk by the entrance to the track. As I approached Officer Cortez stated Anthony was the alleged suspect. Anthony then made a spontaneous statement and stated, "I am not alleged, I did it." So 2 officers actually heard him say this. Okay, please pay attention. Now, Officer Cortez conducted a PAT search or PAT search of Anthony's person to ensure Anthony did not have any weapons and found nothing of evidentiary value. Officer Cortez and I then walked Anthony to my pre-search patrol vehicle, and Anthony was seated in the rear driver's side compartment of my patrol vehicle. While walking to my patrol vehicle, Anthony made another spontaneous statement and asked if what happened could be considered self-defense. I replied by telling Anthony I did not know what happened. It should be noted the in-car camera in my patrol vehicle was activated prior to Anthony being placed in my patrol vehicle. While Officer Cortez assisted Anthony in my patrol vehicle, I noticed Anthony had blood on his left middle finger. I grabbed my department-issued digital camera and took a photograph of Anthony's hands. I later uploaded the photograph to the crime scene folder under this case number. Officer Cortez remained with my patrol vehicle and Anthony while I provided assistance with scene security. Nothing further from this officer. Now, This is the arrest report, Frisco Police Department, Officer Otis Will. Okay, April the 2nd, 2025, 1704 hours. Okay, so, or 1704 hours. Now, on Wednesday, April the 2nd of 2025, at around 1001 hours, Frisco Police Department officers were dispatched to Frisco Independent School District, David Kendall Stadium, okay, in Collin County, Texas, in reference to a stabbing victim call. Frisco Police Department Emergency Communications were receiving an emergency call regarding an athlete that was stabbed. The originally unknown assailant was a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants, and also had a goatee and short hair. Now, the subject was possibly wearing Centennial High School Centennial attire, as it was believed he was a student there for the sporting event. This had all taken place on the visitor side of the stadium, the north side, and the victim was under the Memorial High School memorial tent in the bleachers. Now, at around this same time, school resource officer Cortez arrived on scene and began assisting the victim, trainers, and other parties. Officer Cortez also advised on the radio that he also had the suspect. Now, Sergeant Otis was working the 50s sector as the sergeant. He was in full Frisco Department uniform with distinct patches and badge and a police duty belt. He was also in a marked Frisco Police Department patrol vehicle number 2315. Now, he was relatively close to the call and placed himself on it at around 2 hours, and responded to the call with his patrol vehicle's overhead emergency lights and sirens activated. Now, he arrived at the call at around 10:06 hours. Okay, so it was like 10:06. Sergeant Otis arrived at the stadium and began walking up to the location. At this time, Officer Cortez and Officer Ritchie were walking a black male subject, the suspect, away from the stadium. The suspect was crying hysterically. Okay, please pay attention to that. Please pay attention to that. They say that he was crying hysterically. Okay, so that definitely him saying it's not alleged, or I'm not alleged, I did it, could be considered an excited utterance. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say, please see the other involved officers' narratives for their involvement. Okay, now, Sergeant Otis walked up to the visitor bleachers and observed the victim being treated by Frisco Fire Department, okay, FFD personnel, and also the athletic trainers. The weather began to turn and it began to heavily downpour rain at this time. Some of the FISD staff moved the memorial tent to cover the victim and the FFD personnel. Now, Sergeant Otis began using his city-issued phone to snap crime scene photos to preserve as much of the scene as possible due to the weather and the large gathering of the people that were involved in the incident. Other officers began to set up a crime scene with tape, moving non-essential personnel out of the immediate area. The officers on scene were informed that the knife that was used was tossed and was still believed to be somewhat close. Eventually, one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on one of the bleachers. Okay, Officer Shouts was able to locate the knife. It was located between rows 9 and 10 near seat 30, closest to the aisle, partially open. The rain began to come down again heavily, and it was determined that instead of moving the knife, the officers would cover it with a large blue tarp. Now, maybe they didn't want to touch it because they didn't want to contaminate any evidence, DNA or whatever that was possibly on there, is what I'm thinking. Maybe they weren't wearing or didn't have gloves at the time. Now, Sergeant Otis assisted in preserving the immediate crime scene as much as possible while the other personnel tended to the victim and eventually transported him. At around this time, Officer Wetzel had the crime scene log and began logging the individuals on the call to the best of his abilities. Lieutenants Crawford and Pemberton relieved Sergeant Otis of the scene. Sergeant Otis went back to the police department to download his body cam and the photos he took with a city-issued phone. Sergeant Otis's city-issued phone had a total of 33 photos that were used to document the incident scene. Now, during the download, the initial photos formatting was incompatible with the crime scene folder. Okay, so I wonder how the photos turned out, because it says the the formatting was incompatible. Now, he did this with a cell phone, not a regular camera that they would use at a crime scene ordinarily. I don't know why he used the cell phone. Maybe that's all he had. I don't understand why crime scene investigations wouldn't have been called in with the proper equipment to gather evidence and to take pictures of the scene. I'm not sure. Now, he re-downloaded the photographs that he took. At this time, there is nothing further to add to the report. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the line. It says he re-downloaded the photos that he took, and they were able to be saved properly for preservation of evidence. At this time, there's nothing further to report. Now, this is Officer Wetzel Taylor. Okay. On Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, Officer T. Wetzel was assigned to work patrol in the city of Frisco at approximately 10:02 hours. I responded to the report of a stabbing at David Q. Kendall Stadium located at 88257 7th Street. Now, the original call states or notes stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest and that the suspect that stabbed the victim goes to Centennial High School. Now, I want you all to pay attention to something because I'm sure, well, I'm not going to say I'm sure, but I believe all of these officers' reports, are included in this, of course, but mainly so we can so it can be shown that they all have the same story, that they all observe the same thing at the scene, that they all get the same type of information when they were called to the scene and all of that. So far everything is lining up. It's like they're all saying the exact same thing, basically. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say the original call notes stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest and that the suspect that stabbed the victim goes to Centennial High School. Athletic trainers were on site and were providing care to the victim and advised he was not conscious and not breathing. The notes also indicated that the suspect was a black male with a goatee and short hair wearing Centennial gear. I arrived on scene at approximately 10:06 hours. Now, when I arrived on scene, I grabbed a roll of crime scene tape from my trunk and proceeded to the visitors' bleachers where dispatch advised the victim was. While I was walking towards the visitors' bleachers, I was approached by a witness who identified himself as, and that's redacted, began telling me what happened, and I asked him where the stabbing occurred. Blank advised it happened under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. I immediately informed Sergeant Otis where the witness stated the stabbing occurred and gave him the crime scene tape to start securing the crime scene. Okay, so they have to close off the crime scene so that evidence doesn't get contaminated. But I want you all to remember this. Okay, so during this whole thing, before the police arrived on the scene, think about how many people were under that tent. I'm sure there were many people under the tent because it was raining. So the people under the tent likely, contaminated some of the crime scene. Okay. So before it was cordoned off after the officers got there. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say, I immediately informed Sergeant Otis where the witness saw the stabbing. Okay, where it had occurred and gave him the crime scene tape to start securing the crime scene. I then had Blank move to the walkway under the visitors' bleachers out of the rain to further speak with me. The following is a summary of my contact with Blank. Blank advised he was sitting under the Memorial High School pop-up tent with his team and was near the victim, Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Karmelo Anthony. Anthony was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent. And Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag. And Austin proceeded to touch Anthony. And then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what Blank recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Now, that's interesting because if you all remember, Cornell, I do believe it was Cornell X who said that witnesses said that it was a tent knife and that it was already there. Okay, so now this is a different story. So it could be true. I don't know. Maybe he was given misinformation. I don't know. Or maybe this person gave misinformation. I just hope all the truth comes out. Okay, so anyway, goes on to say he stabbed him in the chest and ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Blake advised that he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member Blank was friends with Anthony and that he could identify Anthony. Blank described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with a possible goatee, short, puffy hair, and wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with Blank. Now, I then was instructed to start a crime scene log. I retrieved a crime scene log from my patrol vehicle and began starting the crime scene log. I was later relieved by Officer Schultz, who took over the crime scene log, and I cleared the scene. Nothing further. Okay, it says attached to original report. Now, this is Officer Jerry Hancock. Today, April the 2nd, 2025, while working as the SRO, which is School Resource Officer at Independence High School on Independence Parkway, Collin County, a weapons call was dispatched over the air that detailed a stabbing occurred at Q Kendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. After hearing more dispatch call information, I drove to the scene. While en route, I heard Officer Cortez say he has the suspect in custody. Okay, when I got on scene, I looked for Officer Cortez and went straight to him to hold security with the suspect that he had handcuffed and secure in the police squad. Now, multiple witnesses were providing statements to officers while the stabbing occurred at the Memorial High School track tent. Only a short time later, Officer Cortez and myself escorted the suspect, Karmelo Sincere Anthony, to the Frisco Adult Holding Facility. Anthony was transitioned off to the jail staff without incident. All jail paperwork was completed, and CID took the investigation from there. So on Wednesday, April the 2nd, 2025, at about, let me just tell you all something. Let me just stop for a second and just say this. So what I'm thinking is this. They're going to definitely try to say this was premeditated by Karmelo, because they're going to say that when Karmelo opened his bag and put his hand in the bag and then said, punch me and see what happens, they're going to say that was premeditation, you all. They're going to say that was premeditation. I guarantee it. They're going to say that he had already decided in his mind that if Austin punched him or put his hand on him, that he was going to do something. Now, mind you, if somebody puts their hands on you, that is self-defense, regardless, in my opinion. But also, I don't see how they're trying, why they think it makes sense that they're saying Karmelo provoked him. Because if someone tells you, don't put your hands on me, or put your hands on me and see what happens, a smart person would not put their hands on them unless they're just a troublemaker or a bully. Because the average person would not want anything to escalate. Okay? So Greta says, regardless of the evidence, they're going to railroad Karmelo. This is America. No black person gets a fair trial with an all-white jury. So much for the jury of his peers. Well, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And Reggie says, sounds like a warning to me. And it was. It absolutely was, beloved. If I tell you, don't put your hands on me, or put your hands on me and see what happens, that means if you put your hands on me, something is going to happen. It's not going to be good. So why would you do it? Why would you do it? So Judge Joy said, you dumb if you do it after he warned you. Exactly. Greta says, how do they know what's in his mind? Karmelo warned him. Right. But they're going to, they're going to paint their own narratives. They're going to paint their own narratives. But let me just say this before I continue. The bottom line is, this wouldn't even have ever happened. We wouldn't even be having this conversation or this broadcast if only white people could mind their damn business and leave black people the hell alone. Okay, let's just be honest here. If racist white folk could just mind their damn business and leave us the hell alone. But they can't do it. They just simply cannot. They always have to be in our faces, in our spaces, or trying to tell us where we belong, or trying to make us leave, or whatever. And then the rest of the racists go along with them and act as though we should have done exactly what we were told. Oh, if he'd have just left. Well, why did he have to leave? Because this person who's not an adult, who has no authority, told him to. Okay, who was Austin? Who was he to tell Karmelo to leave? But in hindsight, of course, we all wish that Karmelo had just left, and I'm sure Karmelo wishes that himself at this point. But this is all because of a racist white person, because I promise you, they said these teens were racist, him and his brother, using the N-word and all of that. Okay, so that all being said, and here's the thing, it's not even what you say, it's how you say it. Because had he gone up and say, listen, bro, you don't belong under our tent. It's crowded under here. Can you think you could go get under another tent? But no, he didn't do that. Being the bully that people claim that he was, I'm sure he was talking trash. Okay, now let's continue. So on Wednesday, April the 2nd, now this is Officer Alvin Fisher. On Wednesday, April 2nd of 2025, at about 10:05 hours, Officer A. Fisher, was dispatched, to the Collin County, to the track meet or whatever, in regards to a stabbing. The note stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest, was unconscious and not breathing. When I arrived, the crime scene was already marked off and a suspect was in custody. I began asking people if they were witnesses to anything. I made contact with Hunter Blank, that's redacted, and then two other redactions. Okay, so it says they were both breathing heavily and crying due to the nature of the events. Also, let me just say this. When I think about what Neek said when she was reporting, she said that Karmelo went under their tent because he recognized someone that he thought was his friend. Now, for the defense attorneys to say that someone he thought was his friend lets us know now that this person is not going to be on Karmelo's side. He's not going to testify for Karmelo. He's going to be testifying against him. And you see, this is what these people do 9 times out of 10. Okay, 9 times out of 10. They're not going to stick with you is all I'm saying. Okay, you can think that they're your friend and they're reliable and all this and that, but when it comes down to you and their people, honey, 9 times out of 10, okay, they're going to stick with their own. Now, they were with coaches on the field and it was pouring down rain. He made the decision to relocate to the locker room just to the east to get out of the rain. Now, once in there, things calmed a little bit. However, they were still hysterical and could not really talk. In there, I learned Hunter was the brother of the victim. I attempted to ask them both what had happened. I could not really get anything out of Hunter, but Blank stated that he wanted to speak. I asked him what happened, and he stated they were all sitting on the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent when another male who he did not know walked over and sat under the tent. Blank then stated Austin, the victim, told this male that since he did not go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Do you hear this? Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Blank said, during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag that he had. It was at this time the male took out a knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. This was all Blake remembered when he talked to me. After this, I then stood by the 3 athlete witnesses until CID arrived and interviewed them. I was then relieved by an SRO, which is a school resource officer, and went back to patrol. Okay, now, this is Officer Mike Crawford. Okay, on the same day at approximately 1000 hours, was dispatched to the Q Kendall Stadium Collin County, Texas, in reference to a stabbing call. I arrived on scene and observed medical personnel and several bystanders standing next to a subject later identified as the victim, Austin Metcalf. Even though they have his name redacted, we know who he is. The medical personnel were actively engaged in life-saving measures with Mr. Metcalf. I observed that a crime scene was created around the area and began collecting the names and contact information of the bystanders within the scene. I then met with Officer Wetzel and directed him to begin a crime scene log. As he was getting the needed paperwork, I took over his responsibilities of monitoring a witness, a blank to the event. Now, ultimately, the witness was taken to another area out of the rain, and Officer Schultz took over the crime scene log, and I forwarded information about the bystanders to him. Okay, so now, from that point forward, I walked with coordinating response from SRO, CID, CSI, and PIO. I took no other action at the scene. My body-worn camera did not activate when I initially arrived on scene, but I did activate it when I discovered it wasn't recording while waiting with the witness, nothing further. So likely the witness that spoke with him, the witness statement was not captured on the body cam because he's saying it wasn't until after the fact that he actually noticed that it wasn't on. Okay. So with that all being said, let's continue. Now, this is Officer Jacob Schultz's report. He says on Wednesday, April the 2nd of 2025, I, Officer Schultz, was working as the SRO, School Resource Officer, at the Student Opportunity Center at approximately 1000 hours. Okay, I was dispatched to a stabbing that occurred at David Q. Kendall Stadium, located at 6927 Stadium Lane, Frisco, Collin County, Texas. It should be noted that my location is approximately 200 yards from the stadium. Now, upon my arrival, I tried to get an updated location of the suspect. I could not see Officer Cortez when I arrived. Now, Officer Cortez informed over the radio that he had the suspect in custody. At this time, I turned my attention to the victim. Multiple FISD trainers were already performing CPR. I could see blood on and around the victim. At this time, medics arrived and began life-saving measures. I coordinated with other officers on the scene to secure the location. By this time, the students of the FISD staff had cleared the area. I used crime scene tape and began to tape off the area. Now, it began to rain harder at this time. Sergeant Otis and myself moved a Memorial High School tent over the medics and victim to attempt to preserve an evidence. I think he meant any evidence that we could. A Memorial coach approached me and informed me that he was with a student who claimed to see the entire altercation. I told the coach to stick with the student and that we would need to get him to the police station to give a statement. The student quickly informed me that he knew where the suspect threw the knife and pointed me to its location. I located the knife with Sergeant Otis and could see blood on the knife. I quickly used my city-issued phone to take pictures before the rain could wash the blood away. Sergeant Otis located a blue tarp, and we decided that we should cover the knife without touching it in an attempt to preserve any evidence. It was windy and raining hard. Once we positioned the tarp over the knife, I reached down and grabbed a backpack left in the stands to weigh the tarp down and threw it up by where Sergeant Otis was positioning the tarp. Now, it was later discovered that the backpack I threw up onto the tarp was the suspect's backpack. It was the only Centennial High School backpack located within all of the Memorial High School backpacks in that area of the stands. So when Karmelo ran, he obviously left his backpack, I'm assuming. So after securing the scene with crime scene tape and attempting to preserve as much evidence as possible, I assisted other officers with locating other possible witnesses. Officer Wetzel was maintaining scene security while I was assisting the other officers. After the medics transported the victim, I relieved him of that post so he could go back to patrol. I maintained scene security until the call was cleared. Photos will be uploaded to the crime scene folder, and my body-worn camera will be downloaded at the end of the shift. No further information at this time. Okay, now we go to Officer Kyle Pemberton. okay, who at the same time was at the same location. He says this location is a school stadium. Call notes advised a male had been stabbed and was unconscious. Upon arrival, several officers and medical personnel were attending to the victim who was lying on the ground of the stadium bleachers. I coordinated the Frisco PD response and trying to establish a crime scene. The knife reported to have been used in the assault was located by another officer in the bleachers. Shortly after my arrival, a large downpour of rain began, and I directed several officers to use a tarp found at the scene to cover the location of the knife. And I remained on scene until the victim was transported and the crime scene was established. Okay, you all give me just a second. I need to do something really quick. And so I'm going to give you all a brief intermission. Okay, hold on just a second.
Lights shining down in the moonlight, one can't help but feel this connection flow with every move. Go along the floor where you smile. Makes me want more. Heartbeat and sing at the sound of soul. Tonight we dance, just lose control. I can't resist the way you move. It's little this. You always lazy. That's the.
Okay, I'm back. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Okay, so now we have Officer Justin Newton. He says, I responded to Texas Health Plano to assist with this case. I was tasked with meeting the ambulance at the hospital. I arrived prior to the ambulance and waited for them to arrive. They arrived at 10:46 hours with the victim, Austin Metcalf, who was brought into the trauma bay for treatment. At 10:53 hours, Dr. Chow pronounced Austin deceased. Once he was pronounced, staff stopped treatment and disconnected cords and tubes from the machines without removing anything from the body itself. While on scene, I took possession of clothing worn by Austin and maintained possession of the items until CSI Dillard took them from me. Okay, that's crime scene investigations. So at some point, crime scene did show up. Okay, now while on scene, Officer Landon requested assistance in lifting the sheets off the body to take photos. I then placed the sheets back when complete. I then stood by in the room for security while Officer Officer Hernandez, and CSI Dillard took additional photos. Now, at one point, they rolled the body and removed shorts from Austin, which were bagged and stayed in my custody until CSI took them. At 13:24 hours, family was allowed into the scene to view the body. I was informed by staff and officers that they would be allowed to touch the head and feet of Austin, which they did. Okay, so at 13:37 hours, nurses from the hospital bagged Austin in a body bag. At 15:15 hours, the transport service for the medical examiner arrived and took possession of the body. Okay, now, I don't know what this number is in reference to, but it says was placed on the bag and secured. I guess that would be just a number so they can keep track of the evidence. That's the evidence number. Okay, so I took notes during this time, which were scanned to the report and booked as evidence. I turned in the crime scene log to be scanned to the report. At the conclusion of the call, I took my camera off to covert mode. Took my camera off of covert mode and went to turn it off. At that point, I learned the camera had failed to activate. No, okay, I'm sorry. Something is fishy about all this. Why are all of their cameras not working? Do you all hear this? Now, this is the second one who claims his camera wasn't working. Okay, this just sounds very interesting to me. Okay, he said he noticed his camera wasn't activated. First of all, if you're coming to the scene where someone's deceased or possibly dying and there's a violent crime or whatever, someone's been stabbed, why wouldn't you make sure as soon as you get there that your camera is activated? Like, that's all crazy. Okay, it just definitely rings a suspicion to me. I don't know what would be the purpose, but clearly it seems like something. Okay, so anyway, due to it being on covert mode, I did not see the indicator lights on the top of the camera, he says. Now, this is Officer Andrew Higgins. Okay, he came there. He says, I, Officer Higgins, was working at the desk as the desk officer at 7200 Stonebrook Parkway, Frisco, Collin County, Texas. At approximately 10:42 hours, blank, these names are redacted, walked into the main lobby stating that he had witnessed this stabbing and was told to come to the lobby to complete a witness statement. I gave blank a voluntary witness statement, which he worked on until detectives arrived to speak with him. Nothing further at this time. Okay, then we have Officer Craig Thomas, or Thomas Craig. On Tuesday, April the 2nd, 2025, at approximately 1000 hours, or 10:01, I, reporting Officer T. Craig, school resource officer, Liberty High School, was at Heritage High School and heard heard via radio that an FISD student had been stabbed. Okay, and then he gives the address. I immediately responded to the scene. Upon arrival, I first made contact with Officer Cortez, who was standing next to a marked police vehicle. Officer Cortez advised that he had detained the suspect and he was in the patrol vehicle. I then responded to the victim's scene that was in the north bleachers. As I walked up, I noticed Frisco Fire Department personnel was attempting to provide life-saving measures to a subject later identified as Memorial High School student, or high school, Austin Metcalf. Now, as other officers worked the scene, I was asked to respond to the stadium's medical locker room area and keep the following Memorial High School students, witnesses, separated until detectives could speak with them. And then there's a bunch of redactions, as you can see. While with them, I was told to take their cell phones from them and later turn them over to Sergeant Bissonnet. Bissonnet. Now, after being relieved, I was asked to make contact with all FISD athletes that had been placed on school buses. Now, below is a list of students who identified themselves as witnesses to the stabbing of Austin Metcalf. Lebanon Trail High School girls track. Okay, so here are all the names and the schools. They're all redacted, of course. These are all of the people that are going to testify, okay, likely against Karmelo. Like, none of these people will likely testify in his defense. Sad to say. I was also met by the following coaches who advised they witnessed the incident. Okay, so McCall Gonzalez, I think that's supposed to be a G, not a C. But anyway, Centennial High School coach, heard suspect confessing of stabbing victim. Vincent Hooper, the Heritage High School coach, heard suspect confessing stabbing victim. Lakeisha Collins, Independence High School coach, witnessed the incident. Mindy Yeatman, Independence High School coach, witnessed the incident. After completing this task, I cleared the scene. Now, then we have Officer Alejandro Avilles. Okay, now on April the 2nd, I, Sergeant Avilles, responded to a stabbing call at 6927 Stadium Lane. Upon arrival, I provided scene security and assisted with keeping civilians away from the crime scene. I maintained this position until I was relieved by CID detectives and cleared the scene. Nothing further. Then last, we have Officer Joshua Miller. Okay, he says on April the 2nd of 2025 at approximately 1000 hours, I, Sergeant J. Miller, they give their badge numbers too. I didn't tell you all that, but they also give their badge numbers, was dispatched to a stabbing call located at 6927 Stadium Lane, Kiwikendo Stadium. Call notes stated that one student was stabbed in the chest by another student. Upon my arrival at the location, my only duty was to provide scene security. As the Frisco medic was leaving the location, I assisted in moving people out of the way for the medic to be able to drive through. Shortly after I cleared the scene, nothing further. Okay, so that's the report. Those are the reports from the police. So what do you all think? What do you all think about this? This does not look good for Melo. Okay, this does not look good for Melo at all, as far as I'm concerned. And we already know how they get down in Texas. Okay, please pay attention. So I just don't think this is going to turn out good. You all, I just really, really don't. Okay, I really, really don't. D Major says, I think the plot thickens and I'm concerned for Melo. Yeah, we should be. Reggie says, I don't know what to make of them not having their body cams on. I mean, it could just be a, an error, a coincidence or whatever, but I don't believe in coincidence. I just find that interesting. Okay, Claudette says distressing. Yes, absolutely. So, we can just only keep Karmelo in our prayers. Okay, at the end of the day. This is not looking good. Greta says it's absolutely 100 not good, Queen. You're correct. Yeah. Nene says they will edit those videos, mark my words. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I absolutely would not be surprised. I mean, they took forever to put the videos out. When this all happened, they didn't release any of the footage, mind you. They're just now showing the videos in court. So who knows what they did? Why wasn't the video footage released at first? I don't know. So that all being said, this is not looking good at all. Okay, prayers for Karmelo. I hope everything turns out, okay for him and his family. I know it's not going to be good regardless, but hopefully I hope they don't give him a life sentence, 20 years or something crazy. Maybe they'll just give him involuntary manslaughter or something, because they have lesser charges on there because they want to make sure they get him with something. Okay, so but hold on, let me just show you all this. Now I just happened to click on this. I want to show you all, first of all, what this Asian guy said about Black people boycotting them, and I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. Here's the thing. Some of them are talking trash. This is all the more reason, okay, for us to absolutely boycott them, okay? Okay, welcome to Texas Podcast said he killed a human being. Yes, he did. Yes, he did, in self-defense. And don't come in here with the BS, because people that look like you kill people all the time. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, this is what y'all do all the time. How many times have the police that look like you killed Black people who were completely unarmed? How many times have people who look like you shot through doors? Let's not forget Susan Lawrence, who shot through the door, killing a G.K. Owens, who was simply knocking on her door, who was completely unarmed, wanted to question her about putting her hands on her kids. You all don't have the same energy when it's the other way. You don't have the same energy. That's what you don't have. Okay? That's what you don't have. At the end of the day, just as well as you defend your people, we are going to defend ours. That's how that goes. Okay? Please pay attention. That human being lost their life, and that is sad and tragic. But at the end of the day, had they not been a bully and pushed this young man, none of this would have happened. Okay, they were clearly the aggressor. You don't get to put your hands on people. And that's what you all say. You all make the stand your ground laws. That's what you all say, that you don't have a duty to retreat, that if someone approaches you, you can defend yourself. You all do it all the time. Daniel Penny, you all view him as a hero when he murdered Jordan Neely on a subway for yelling and talking loudly, not putting anyone in imminent danger, not holding a weapon or brandishing anything, but simply for talking loudly because he was frustrated. So you, sir or ma'am, could absolutely miss us with it. Okay, that's what you can do. Okay, that's what you can do. Honey, I don't care. I'm not wasting my breath. I'm just letting it be known. Okay, I'm just letting it be known. Because they need to know that the same way they feel about us, we feel the same about them. Okay? Now, with that all being said, I want to go on to this video, but while I was looking for the video, here's a picture of Trump, a video of Trump asleep again. Now, remember how Marco Rubio lied just days ago? And hold on. Welcome, Texas says so much hatred. Honey, the only people with hatred are people who look like you. You all have the KKK, you have white nationalists, you have the neo-Nazis, you have all kinds of wanton supremacist groups. And I call you wanton supremacists, not white supremacists, because there's nothing superior or supreme about any of you, period. And so with that all being said, yeah, you all have the hatred. Who commits the majority of the hate crimes in this country? White men, okay? Who commits most of the school shootings and serial killings? White men. What about the greats? White men. What about arson? White men. Go look it up. Now, Black people have you beat when it comes to burglary and robberies, but y'all have us beat at a whole lot of things too. And the false narrative about Black on Black crime is BS, because white people kill white people at almost the same rate as Black people killing Black people. Okay, so please don't come in here talking about we have hatred. At the end of the day, who wants the race war? That's you all. That's you all asking for a race war. That's you all who have started throughout the history of this country, the race riots. That's what you all did. We never started it. We don't have a nefarious history of going around harassing, attacking, or killing white folk. We don't have a history of doing it. And any time that we have done it, 90 times out of the 10, the white person provoked it. And that's what y'all do, because you all are the ones with the hatred, not us, okay? Not us. With that being said, and now let's continue. And I'll just go ahead and send you on your way because clearly you're not here for the truth. Now, let's go to this clip of Trump because Trump is just sitting up here snoozing when Marco Rubio literally told us the other day with his lying self before Congress that, in fact, Trump never falls asleep. Trump appears to be completely passed out of sleep during his 3 p.m. Oval Office announcement. Marco Rubio is a damn fool forever trying to cape for Trump because we all know that he goes to sleep in these meetings. Look at him, sleeping like a baby.
Of a job, an economy, a community, a family. And for too long, you forms of a job, an economy, a community.
Okay, clearly snoozing. Okay, he's very incompetent, as are the rest of his administration. Okay, please pay attention. Now, and let me tell y'all something. Don't ever think I'm wasting my breath because, first of all, I know when to waste my breath or when not to waste my breath. Anytime I'm setting a racist straight, I have no problem doing it. It's not a waste of breath, okay? Whether they want to accept the information or not, I don't care, but they're going to hear it. They're going to hear it, okay? I'm not going to be quiet. Okay, if I got something to say, I'm going to let it be known. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this video of the little Asian talking all the trash about Black folk. Okay, hold on, because he seems to have forgotten how much stuff Black people have created in this country. Okay, please pay attention. Let's get into it. And if you all go and shop with them after this, you're a damn fool, period. Okay? It is what it is.
I love when the Black community says, let's boycott Asian businesses. Please do. We'll give it to the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's give it to the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians, the electronics in your house, the Sony, the TV system, your sound system, the microphones that you guys use to rap and speak about awareness for the Black culture and the hip hop culture. Where do you think that's made in? That's made all in Asia. And here's another thing for you guys. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are not neighborhoods. We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us do go to college as well. You're being outworked by immigrants who barely speak English. And you're not embarrassed? Go to the bank, start your own businesses, and deal with your own people. I want to see your own women get on their hands and knees and do pedicures and manicures and deal with nasty ass attitudes, okay? Please boycott Asian business. I'm all for it.
Good. We're all for it too, sir. All right. We're all for it too. And here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention. Now, he's talking all that trash, right? He's talking all of that trash. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry. The bottom line is they are not in white communities. No, they're not. That's a lie. They don't have Asian nail salons and beauty supply stores in the white community. They don't. Now, they may have Koreatown and Chinatown. Yeah, we know that. But at the end of the day, honey, y'all are not in white folks' neighborhoods. The white folk wouldn't let you in their neighborhoods. That's why they're in our neighborhoods. Okay? The white people don't want them in their neighborhoods. That's a fact. And when you have ever gone in any of their establishments, do you see white people in there? No, you don't. You see, white people go to beauty supply stores like Sally. That's for them. Okay, they don't go there like Black people do. And with that all being said, Black people, y'all really need to wake the hell up. And I'm specifically talking to Black women because Black women are the ones who love going to their beauty supply stores. Find a Black owned beauty supply store. Okay, order your stuff from Amazon. You can order so many things online these days. You don't even have to go look for it. There's no excuse to continue shopping with people who disrespect us, don't contribute a darn thing to our communities, come in there and act racist and disrespectful, follow you around stores, accuse you of stealing when you didn't. And you need to think about Latasha Harlan's 1991, who was murdered because they accused her of stealing an orange juice, which she absolutely did not. And now Rick Chow killing Cyrus Carmack Belton, accused of stealing a bottle of water, which he absolutely did not. And most of the times, the fact of the matter is, when they accuse Black people, they're absolutely wrong. Stay out of their businesses. I swear to God, if I see any of you in there on the streets, wherever I'm at, I'm going to press record and I'm going to record you and I'm going to make you go viral in the worst way. Okay? Please pay attention. I'm going to cause a whole scene. I'm letting you know. Okay, so now with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank hold on. I have one more story. Hold on. Now listen to this. So Ohio State University reaches a $100 million settlement with nearly 300 abuse survivors. This is at a college, $100 million settlement. So June 3rd, Ohio State University reached a $100 million settlement with nearly 300 former students who had accused the school's campus doctor of sexually assaulting them decades ago. The school and a lawyer for the victims said this on Wednesday. Now, the settlement with 279 of the 280 former students was ratified by the university's board on Wednesday. It followed years of litigation over accusations of decades of abuse by Richard Strauss. Okay, this man must have been nefarious. Now, the abuse occurred from 1978 to 1998, the year he retired from the facility. So for 20 years, this is what this freak was doing. Okay, please pay attention, all nefarious. So the mediation and its confidentiality are continuing as the parties work to finalize the details of the settlements, and additional information will be shared as appropriate. The school and a lawyer for the victims said this in a joint statement. Now, in February, the university reached 8 additional settlements, bringing the total to 304 survivors and more than $60 million. Strauss, who killed himself in 2005, was employed at Ohio State's athletic department and medical staff for nearly 2 decades. A 2019 report detailing the investigative findings said that Strauss had sexually abused at least 177 men, nearly all of whom were students, and that the university staff who knew of the abuse failed to act. They covered it up. Okay, or they were complicit, in my opinion, if that's the case. The abuse included groping and fondling the students' private parts and other acts under the guise of a medical examination. News of the investigation and its findings prompted more than 500 plaintiffs to sue Ohio State, alleging they had been sexually abused by Strauss and that the school had shown deliberate indifference. Okay, this is all egregious. Okay, all egregious. And now he's not going to get any justice. He's dead. Took himself out, probably after he realized this stuff was going to come out. Who knows? Okay, so with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like and share. I'll see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Enjoy the rest of this day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got